Your life can be what you want it to be. You can make whatever you want to happen. But the thing is, with our minds, with our brains, we tend to look at things as being much bigger than what it actually is. And that is a big issue. All the time, I really realized it when I heard somebody talk about how if we are looking at a hill, right? If we're at the bottom and we're walking up this hill and we get very intimidated by it, we get worried about it, unconsciously our brain will literally trick us into believing that the hill is bigger and steeper than what it is. And that goes not only for the physical, but also for the things that you are wanting to do. When we are making decisions about how we want to make something happen, what we want to make happen, the time frame we want it to happen in, it's very easy to literally just make it this humongous thing, to start to tell yourself that it's really hard, it's really difficult, you can't make it happen, or literally just look at it as being something that is just way more difficult and way more big than what it really is. And that is absurd. It's literally crazy because we do it in so many different areas in our lives, and we may not realize that we're making a molehill a mountain. Sometimes it literally takes a legit wake-up call. It takes someone coming to you and saying, you are bonkers, you're tripping, you're being ridiculous right now. Sometimes it takes somebody coming to you and letting you know that, and take this as the sign of you're making it a bigger deal than what it is. And I will say, yes, it's easier said than done, because when you get into this cycle of making something a big deal in your mind, believing that it's really hard to accomplish, that's really hard to do, that's going to be really difficult for you. Once you get into the habit of making it seem like that, then yeah, it's going to be something that's kind of stuck up here. And so you have to consistently and consciously change the way you are looking at it, the way that you are telling yourself things are going to unfold. You have to mentally make a shift in that way. And you have to challenge yourself, because this isn't I'm going to change the way I think for literally one day and then go back to the way it was. No, this is something that you have to do literally day in and day out. You cannot feed the beast of deception, because that's what you're doing. You're deceiving yourself into thinking that it's really hard. You're deceiving yourself into thinking that it's going to take all this time. You're deceiving yourself into thinking that this is going to be something that is going to be really difficult for you to accomplish. And sometimes it's not even just you feeding it. Sometimes it's you and everybody else that's feeding it, because you could be thinking something. You could be thinking something negative at any point in time, of course. But you can also have people around you that are also feeding into this idea of it being difficult, of it being too hard, of you not being able to accomplish A, B, and C. There are people that could be telling you this same crap that you're telling yourself. And sometimes that's where you got it from, was them. Sometimes their limitations and how they see things, that got ingrained into your mind. So what we are doing, because this is a we thing, we're all in this together, what we are now needing to do is reverse engineer how we are thinking about things, reverse engineer how we're thinking about ourselves and how we're thinking about our situation. Instead of getting in your head, thinking about all these things that are wrong, thinking about all these things that are super difficult, thinking about all these things that are not going to go your way, instead you need to shift how you're thinking about it, but you do this through the steps that you are taking. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to break down what it is that we want to accomplish. If you do not know the steps that you need to take in order to get what you want, do research, because I also saw this one quote was so good. It was saying that what you fear, you need to learn more about, and that's how you overcome your fear. If you fear something, learn a lot about it, because sometimes fear comes from a lack of knowing, a lack of understanding, and a lack of believing. And when you learn everything about this thing in and out, and you learn how it works, what to do, what steps to take, how to do whatever, then you stop fearing it as much. You start to be like, I know the beast that lays in front of me. I know its weaknesses. I know its strengths, and I know how to get past it. So if you don't already know the steps that you need to take, first step is to learn about it. If you're extremely fearful, learn about it. That is our first step, is to indulge in understanding. And yes, when you are worried about something, nervous about something, fearful of something, doubting something. When it comes to actually going in and deep diving into understanding it and learning it, sometimes it can be difficult. It can be filled with anxiety. It can be filled with worry. What if I find out something new that I don't understand? But you have to literally face this beast head on. And that is what you are going to be doing as we start on this path. The next thing that you are going to do, now that you have deep dived into it, you studied it, you understand what needs to be done, you understand what you need to work on, you understand all the steps, you're going to lay out the steps in an easy to follow way. Try to make it as simple as you can. Try to make it as easy to follow as you can. Don't try to make it, unless this works for you, because, there's exception to everything. If it works for you to make it super complicated and intense, then go ahead and do it. Do what works for you. But for most people, usually, it doesn't work as well doing stuff like that. So just try to make it as simple as possible, as easy as possible to follow. And only focus on the step that you're on. That is going to be really, really important, is to focus on the step that you are on. Even if you have this simple, this is the thing, even if you have this simple step-by-step 10-step guide to getting where you want to be, if you're focused on the end product, if you're focused on every other step that you have to take, it can become really, really difficult to ensure that you do not stress yourself out about it. It can become really, really difficult to ensure that you do not fall into that negative way of thinking, because you're so focused on thinking about literally everything else. You're so focused on thinking about how overwhelming everything is. And so you have to take that step back to be like, no, I'm only focused on the one thing that I am working on right now. I am not focused on what I have to do at step 9, step 10, step 8, step 7. If you're on step 1, focus on step 1. Be considerate of what comes next, but do not ponder on it, because that is its own step in itself. When you're there, you're there. You're not there yet, so don't worry about it. Have a checklist as well so that you can check off everything that you have done. I highly recommend just writing it down over putting it in your notes or something like that, because when you are writing it down, it allows for you to have that hand-mind connection to whatever you're doing. So I highly recommend just write it down, just check it off, so you can stay on track as well, because you don't want to be like, oh, did I already do this, or did I complete this? No. Make sure that you have a checklist so that even as you're making your list, first off, yes, you stay on track, but also as you're making your list, you can be for sure in knowing when you are done and when you have accomplished what you need to accomplish. And the next thing that I suggest is talking to people. Talk, watch, read about people that do not make it seem like it's impossible, that do not make it seem like it's super difficult. Do not consume content from people that are like, whatever you want to do is so difficult, it's so hard, barely anybody makes it. Like, don't watch people like that. Do not fill your brain with people that are going to lead you astray, that are going to make it seem like it's this super difficult, tough thing that barely anybody can accomplish. Do not fill your mind with that, because you're literally just filling your mind with negativity. You're filling your mind with literal crap. So do not allow that to seep into yourself, into your mindset, into what you are doing. Make sure that you make that choice, that you are only going to talk to people, you are only going to listen to people, you're only going to read books by authors of people who are making your dreams sound reasonable, making your dreams sound obtainable, making your dreams sound like something that can reasonably occur and happen. Not people that are going to just fill this negative mindset that you are actively trying to overcome. And I'm not saying to just straight up cut people off. If you feel like that's necessary depending on your situation, it's you do you. But what I will say is there are certain conversations that you just can't have with certain people. If you're talking to somebody about something that you're struggling with, right? Or something that you're trying to accomplish, and what they're saying is only feeding into your negative thoughts, what they're saying is only hurting you more, you can have a conversation with them about it, but then there are just times where you're like, okay, we're friends still, but I'm not going to engage in this conversation with you. I'm not going to talk to you about this very particular type of thing in my life. So create those boundaries as well, because this is your life and you need to protect your life. You need to protect your goals. You need to protect your dreams. And when you have an inkling to do something, when you feel the need to do something, go after it and do it. The quicker you move, the less time you have to overthink it all, the less time you have to sit here and convince yourself that it's a super tough thing that you cannot overcome. So don't wait. Don't give yourself the chance to overthink it. Don't give yourself the chance to start talking yourself out of a good thing. Just go for it.